August 3rd is a day that I'll never forget. My daughter had texted me earlier that day because Christian had borrowed her truck he was moving out of the house and he needed to move some of the big things. And she told me that she couldn't get a hold of him and that he hadn't brought the truck back. So I started texting him and he wasn't answering me as well. So on my way home from work that day, I got a call from the emergency room and they told me that Christian was there, that I didn't need to rush, but I needed to come to the emergency room.
So Christian is your average healthy 18-year-old kid, just having a regular day, went to the hardware store to buy some materials and all of a sudden just passed out on the floor. And fortunately there were people around that called 911 and started acting immediately. The ambulance came and put an external defibrillator on him and shocked him back into normal sinus rhythm. My
initial reaction to seeing him hooked up was that my son was going to die. And I had a lot of questions as why this was happening to us. We'd had a very tough year.
This is very, very rare. I can't even give you a number. This is such a rare event to see.
Dr. Airey did visit with us about doing a familion test to see if there was anything genetic that might come up, since, you know, there's heart issues on my dad's side of the family. And we agreed to that and signed all the paperwork and got the blood drawn for that before Christian even woke up.
The first thing I remember was actually waking up in the hospital, and I asked, where was I? And they told me what would happen, and I actually didn't even believe it.
Again, he's only 18. Something like this shouldn't happen to an 18-year-old. He's just starting his life, and this was just something that we did not need to happen.
When I first heard my brother had a heart attack and almost was dead, it freaked me out because I didn't want to lose my brother.
So shortly after I woke up, Dr. Airey told me she was going to put a loop recorder in which would monitor my heartbeat.
So once we got Christian back to functioning again, we sent him to see Dr. Michael Ackerman at the Mayo Clinic. He's a world-renowned specialist in sudden cardiac arrest, sudden cardiac death in children.
When I heard about that, I wanted to go see him. Christian wanted to go see him. We were hoping that maybe he would think of something else that Dr. Airey didn't think of when she did all her testing. He did all the testing that he could think of to see what was going on, and he recommended at that point that we do an internal defibrillator. He told me that if it was his son, that we would be doing it before we even left Rochester. And
so we have technology now where we can watch these 24/7. We have remote monitoring, so if this ever happens to Christian or we see he's starting to get into problems, it's going to send an alert to our office before Christian even knows about it. And we can even call Christian and let him know that he's had a shock or that he's been having rhythms before he might even know that there's a problem. And Dr. Ackerman had no ideas either. We did extensive testing on Christian. I took him to the lab, tried to replicate any arrhythmia I could find in him, and we couldn't find anything abnormal. We did genetic testing. Dr. Ackerman couldn't figure anything out.
Since my events, I have some limitations. I have to take medication every day to stop adrenaline rushes. And I'm limited to anything that basically will cause my heart rate to go past 180.
We don't even know why he had sudden cardiac arrest, but it's certainly every parent's nightmare. But here he is today, back to his normal functioning self. I've encouraged Christian to go ahead and do everything that he used to do. He's protected by his defibrillator, so if he has any arrhythmias, we know he's going to get therapy.
the person who saved my son's life that day knew CPR.
Because there's nothing worse than standing there and watching somebody fall over and you just don't know what to do. And you never know, that person one day might be you, it might be me, and it might be a family member. It's important that the general population know how to resuscitate these people. It takes about half an hour to learn hands-on CPR, and we think it's very important that all our children and teenagers learn how to do that.
I believe that the research that the American Heart Association is doing and what they fund for is going to help us get more answers in the future, not just for my son, but for for anybody who has heart-related issues.
Before my event, my life was pretty normal. Even after, not a whole lot has changed.
Please donate to the Heart Association to keep the research going, to save lives like my brother's.